Good morning. You're listening to Shamelessly Shontay. I'm your host, Shontay Lundy, and happy Sunday. Today, my lovely co-host is the Francis Ford.
The Francis Ford. Good morning.
Hello, hello, hello. Today's a special day. It is our very first episode, and the episode is called The First. And we have a brilliant first in the building. Francis, can you please introduce our first?
I sure can. Jackie Lacey. Interesting. So excited to have her here. Jackie Lacey, she grew up in the Crenshaw district of Los Angeles in a working class family. After graduating from Dorsey High School, she obtained a bachelor's degree in psychology from UC Irvine and a law degree from USC. In 1986, she started as a prosecutor in the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. During her tenure, she was a prolific trial lawyer who made history in 1998 when she obtained a murder conviction against white supremacists who killed a man in Lancaster because he was Black. In November 2012, she was the first woman and the first Black person to be elected district attorney in its 160-year history. Jackie has created some amazing reform programs, such as the Criminal Justice Mental Health Task Force, the first Human Trafficking Unit, as well as the first Child Abuse Unit. Jackie has since retired from practicing law as of December 2020. Jackie Lacey is a current member of Shepherd of the Hills Church in Porter Ranch, California. She and her husband, David, were married for nearly 42 amazing years until his passing in 2022. They have 2 adult children. Jackie enjoys walking, reading, and spending time with her family. Please welcome Jackie Lacey.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Jackie is smiling. I love to see Jackie smiling. I'm smiling. The biggest smile on my face. Francis is smiling. So it feels like we're all in good company right now. Jackie, can you bring me back to the 1970s? I know you were born and raised in Los Angeles. What was it like? Because I wasn't here in the 70s.
Well, it was different in my neighborhood. The Crenshaw district. It was a mostly African-American neighborhood. There were, I think about 20% of the people there were Asian. And, it was a good neighborhood with some issues. Remember back in the 70s was when the gang culture started. We had the Bloods and the Crips. And I lived down the street from an area used to be called the Jungle. It's a bunch of apartments. It's now called Baldwin Vista. And I walked to school. I walked to school and you had to be kind of careful. I can remember my mother being worried about us. My mom worked. My dad worked and just being worried about us and, just sort of warning us, hey, don't get involved in anything that'll wreck your life. We want you to have a better life than we had. My parents are from the South, which explains a lot about me. My dad's from Texas, my mom's from Georgia, and they were strict. I didn't appreciate it at the time. Now I'm just grateful.
How often do you go back to your old neighborhood?
Well, my mother still lives in the house, so I'm there a couple times a week.
The house that you were born in?
Well, the house I was raised in. Not the
in.
house I was born in, but she still lives in the Crenshaw district in the home that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's still there.
Why do you call it the Crenshaw district?
I think that was the name that it was given. It's adjacent to Leimert Park and to Baldwin Hills, not quite as ritzy as those places, but adjacent. And it was just called the Crenshaw District because, Crenshaw Boulevard, which is the main thoroughfare, was just 4 or 5 blocks from my home.
So it's still called the Crenshaw district?
It is.
Yeah, okay. So people like in Crenshaw call it the Crenshaw district.
Well, I think even people outside, when you're from LA and you say the Crenshaw District, everybody kind of knows it's, Obama Boulevard and the areas surrounding Obama Boulevard and Crenshaw Boulevard.
Got it. Okay. So you graduated law school in 1982. This is special for me. You know why?
Why?
That's my birth year.
God, I'm old.
You telling your age?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at this point. I've embraced it. So 1982, okay.
Yeah.
What inspired your law career?
I took a roundabout path. I thought I was going to be an elementary school teacher. And my dad, who was very smart and really my mentor, one day when I was in college said, hey, I'm not sure that's right for you. Why don't you go work in a school? And I did and realized it wasn't my calling. So I just started taking random classes. And I took a class where I met a black woman lawyer. The first time I met a black woman lawyer, she lectured. Her name is Irma Brown. She's now a judge. But Irma Brown came in and spoke. And she doesn't realize it. She does now because I've seen her. But at the time, she changed my life. When I saw this beautiful, intelligent black woman talk about being an advocate in court for justice, it planted a seed in me that said, hey, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could be that. Which is so weird because it was somewhat of I wasn't part of the in crowd. I was sort of shy and reserved, but I just was inspired by her. And because of that one lecture, that 1 hour, I said, you know what? I'm going to try to go to law school. And I just started studying harder, got prepared, and all I can say to anybody who's thinking about a certain career, look what happened. Look what happened.
1 hour.
1 hour.
That's all it takes sometimes.
Wow.
Is to hear
Yeah.
one person, to see one person, to be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie, are you comfortable speaking about your headline making 1998 conviction?
Are you kidding? It's the case I'm most proud of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I tried roughly 100 cases, misdemeanor and felonies.
Well, really quick. So, can
Yeah.
you give us a little bit of like context, like
Right.
color behind it first?
Right. You know, I ended up by a series of, you know, in the DA's office, they transfer you around. So I ended up in the hate crimes unit.
Okay.
And the boss of that unit hands me a case. And it's an African-American man, Milton Walker, out of Antelope Valley. And he has been just beaten to death. The autopsy photos look like the photos you've seen of Emmett Till.
Mm.
No family called. He had no one to support him. It was just me and the team. And these individuals, these white supremacists, decided in order to earn the right to get a lightning bolt tattoo, they had to murder a black man. And they chose this poor homeless guy who, you know, I think they chose him. He was in a McDonald's that night. It was the day after Thanksgiving. He was in a McDonald's, got into an argument with a woman who happened to be white. They were both homeless. And that attracted their attention, and they ended up following him out to the back and just beating him to death. It was one of those cases where when I was arguing why the jury should convict them, I felt like I was 2 feet above the ground.
Mm.
It was that kind of case for a lawyer where you're like, okay, maybe it all happened because of Milton Walker's death and what these people did.
So, you got the conviction.
Right. And it was the reason it was significant, it was the first hate crime murder conviction under a new statute. We didn't really have a statute to punish people for hate crimes, for murders, but it was the first of its kind in California that we know of that happened. And, you know, I just got the case really randomly. Someone couldn't try the case. I tried it. And it was an extraordinary experience.
Who was on your team?
Well, I had a guy from the FBI. I had an investigator from the district attorney's office, and that was it. It was the three of us, only lawyer on the case. There were 3 juries, which is odd. The judge was the judge from the OJ case, Lance Ito. It was probably my first big media case, you know, in terms of reporters sitting inside all the time. And it was just, what can I do to bring home justice? What can I do for this guy? You know, he's not disposable. He mattered and matters to me. And the 3 of us just worked really hard for we probably were in trial for 3 months, which is a long time to be in trial.
And what's that work like?
You know, when you're in trial and you're a trial lawyer, you forget to pay your bills. You get so distracted by your work because, you know, for the hours you're in court, which can be from 8:30 to 5, there's a lot of prep work behind the scenes. You got to hunt down witnesses. You got to get them prepared. You got to look for documents. You're constantly it's almost like you're fighting against 3 different people because there's 3 different defendants, 3 different lawyers on the case. And you got to be the one with that, sort of that samurai sword and just sort of defending your case, because their job, the defense's job, is to poke holes in your case, right? So it was difficult, but I felt, I just felt so good after those convictions came in.
How long did you have to wait for the verdict?
I think they came in very, very quick. I recall us, sometimes you can end up waiting a week or so for a jury to come back, and there were 3 jurors. It seems like they came back within a couple of days after they got the case. And part of it was due, if you have to imagine, the defendants, they were still tattooed up. They were still part of the Nazi lowriders. That was the name of the white supremacist gang. They were defiant. At times, they would yell at me. Matter of fact, as one person, Randall Rojas, when he got convicted and sentenced, he yelled, this is the first time I ever felt like, I could be in danger. I've got to worry about. I remember having a discussion with my children who were in middle school at the time. Don't ever answer the door. Just, somebody comes to the door, you wait till mom or dad are there. And it was the first time I ever felt like something bad could happen. Notwithstanding that, though, it was kind of like, you know what? Somebody's got to stand up. Somebody's got to be there. And I felt fortunate that it was me.
Did you ever want to be on the defense side? Not during this case, but in any case.
Not really. I've thought about that. When you retire as a DA, you get approached by defense teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the utmost respect for what they do. I just don't think I could do it. I don't think I'm cut out for that.
Okay. Even if you think they're innocent. Because I'm sure you tried some cases where...
Well, yeah. I mean, as a prosecutor, when I was the district attorney, I created the conviction review unit to look at cases where we thought there wasn't enough evidence this person should be free. That said, I feel like when I was a prosecutor, I was doing what I was born to do. And while I have the utmost respect for defense attorneys and what they do, I just know in my heart of heart that's not my role. It's not something that I feel I could do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Being the first Black female district attorney of Los Angeles, how much publicity did you receive? Was it for the good, or was there some negative things that came with it?
I have a saying, you live by the media, you die by the media. And what I mean by that is, when you embrace the media and it's your whole identity and they determine who you are, then they could turn on you in a second, and suddenly you're feeling like you're nobody. That said, being a first, I got a lot of publicity. My alma mater, USC, opened up the Galen Center. We had a huge, there was just a huge outpouring, a lot of pride. I have that same pride whenever I see a first of anything and of anybody. And so there was a big outpouring. A lot of people came. I was so happy that my mom got to see this, that she was there. My dad was gone by then. He had died by then. But I still felt like all the things he instilled in me about leadership, he would have been so proud that I got outside my comfort zone and said, hey, I'm going to run for office, because you got to be crazy. You got to be crazy to run for office. And I say that to everybody I talk to who says they want to run for office. But
why crazy?
Crazy, because the rules of politics are very different. They're very counterintuitive. You open yourself up to all kinds of criticism. Mm-hmm. Your personal life is all out there. Your business is all out there. So you gotta dot your I's and cross your T's. I mean, that's the memo I'd like to get out to first. Don't wreck it for everybody else. If you are a first, dot your I's, cross your T's, understand that you're not going to get away with a lot of things that other people would get a pass for. And so because of that, because you have an obligation to keep the door open, to keep that ceiling open, you have got to take your job seriously every day, every minute of the day. It is a responsibility that comes with the honor.
During your first year, did you feel like you knew what you were doing?
Oh, man. Yes, I did, because the job I had before was the second in command. And for about 10 years, I got to sit um, in the cabinet that Steve Cooley, who was the district. So I got to watch. I got to watch somebody doing the job. So I did feel that way. And I've been in the office for many years. So I knew the people, and I felt like I was ready for leadership. So to me, running the job, doing the job was so much easier than campaigning.
So, as second in command, what were some of the craziest things you've heard?
Oh,
If you can share.
yeah. I thought about that question a little bit. The criminal justice system does have a lot of weird actors, crazy actors,
Bad actors.
bad actors. I think the craziest cases for me were the ones
Or it could just be a
involving,
saying. It could just be a saying.
yeah, involving politicians. And I like to tell this story. Occasionally as DA, or even before DA, you would get a call,
Mhm.
and somebody would say, you ought to give this person a break, and blah blah blah, and this, that, and the other, and why are you doing this? And I'd have to say to the person, look at Senator, help me out. Stop breaking the law, and you'll never hear from me. You'll never see me again. I can't. I've got to. It's the job of DA is a very difficult job in the sense that you may want to do something, but the evidence will lead you, and the law leads you another way, and you have to really be be willing to do the right thing, even if it may hurt you politically.
Oh my goodness.
You got to be that way. You got to.
I don't know if that's what happens though.
Yeah. A book that influenced me was President John F. Kennedy's book. I wish I could think of the name of it, but it is about people who voted a certain way, did a certain thing, and they ended up getting out of office. And I really feel like that unselfishness is missing amongst our political leaders.
I appreciate the recommendation.
I have a question for you, Miss Jackie. With that, how you feel about it personally, and then following the law, how do you deal with that conflict within yourself?
Well, Francis, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I'm one of these people that I spend a lot of time thinking about important decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And, the district attorney's office is a large office. A lot of times I'm not the one investigating or looking at the case. I'm the one, as the DA, you're looking, you're trusting somebody to give you the accurate information.
Right.
I was one of those bosses. I always had to check on things myself. I'd be like, can you give me that tape?
Mm-hmm.
Would you go interview this witness? I'm sure that was frustrating for my people.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I had to be satisfied in my soul that I was doing making the right decision for the right reasons.
Yeah.
There are times, though, where, I showed mercy and my team didn't quite understand it until I explained to them, all right, this person has done their time. What happened to them was extraordinary. They had their own trauma, and this is why this happened. And it's time. It's time for them to be paroled, or it's time for them to get out. Now that I'm out of office, I've had 4 years to really think about some of my decisions. And people always ask, do you think you would have made a different decision? I go over these decisions over and over in my head a lot of times. And I think in the end, I had a brilliant team of people around me who were always willing to be truthful with me.
Mm-hmm.
If they disagreed. And that helped make me a better leader.
Yeah.
And so as I made those decisions, someone might disagree, but in my heart of hearts, it sat right with me.
Yeah.
So you've been retired for almost 4 years. Almost.
Yeah.
Right? What are you doing? I heard you say that you're thinking about some of your past decisions. But how else are you keeping yourself busy?
I've worked since I was 16 years old. And
Yeah.
so, I lost my election. I had to go. I had to retire from the DA's office, but I could have done something else. But I took a year of just thinking about what's my next journey. I feel I feel like I'm healthy. I'm young enough to do something else. I don't know what that is. I know I didn't want to be in the limelight anymore.
Yeah.
So I just took a year and promised myself I wasn't going to do anything but think about, what's the future. And I'm a woman of faith. I was like, well, God will speak to me. He'll tell me what I'm supposed to do. So the year was off. I volunteered at Hope Gardens, which is run by Union Rescue Mission. It's a wonderful residential place in the hills of Sylmar where women and children can live who used to be on the streets. And so they needed help in the kitchen. I can cook. And so I put on, my mask because it was COVID 2021. And once a week I went into the kitchen. Nobody knew who I was.
And went to town.
I went to, and just listen and just watched, just watch. And so I learned a whole lot about the women and children there, about homelessness. And so I did that. And then now I'm on the board of directors of Union Rescue Mission. And it's an incredible time to be part of that because they're looking for a new leader. Their executive director, Andy Bell's retired. There are other issues they're trying to break through, the bureaucracy of government. So I can help with that. I speak bureaucracy. I speak county bureaucracy, so I understand that. So I'm doing that. I joined a book club. I'm traveling. I'm just blessed now to be able to spend time with quality time, listening to family and friends and being there for people. With that job, it was so consuming.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I missed while I was working. And now I'm much more in the moment. Can help who I want to help, stay out of stuff I want to stay out of, right?
Yeah.
And really think about, okay, where am I being led next? And I really feel like I am on a path. It's been difficult. I lost my husband. I'm still grieving, even though it's a year and a half later. But I think God is using me also to support others who are in grief. Now that I've experienced that pain, I know what that's like and know how isolating and lonely it can feel. So
I'm so sorry to hear about your husband, David. I think that was probably one of the most beautiful services I've ever witnessed in my entire life. You're welcome. And when I went into the church, I mean, it was packed from the front to the back with like 1,000 people, Jackie. I was like, oh my gosh, government people, friends, family. And I understand that David was born and raised here and he accumulated just so many people around him. So, I mean, you did a fantastic job honoring your husband. And again, I'm so sorry. In your bio, I'm just gonna kind of take it
Sure.
to some of the things that take your mind maybe off of the loss, and you had some loss in your life. You're walking, right? You walk and you say hello to everyone. You know 2 facts. You know their name and 2 facts about them. My question to you now is: when you walk, are you wearing sunscreen?
I'm wearing Black Girl Sunscreen.
Oh,
Not
ding,
just
ding, ding.
matte number 45.
Oh,
yes.
she knows it all.
Every day,
Good
all
for
the
you.
time. I am. You introduced me to it, and I must say it's a fabulous product. I like it because I don't get that white cast that I was used to all the time, and it's a wonderful product. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. So pre Black Girl Sunscreen, what was your relationship with sunscreen? What-
Well, growing up, I don't think we as Black people ever talked about sunscreen.
Mhm.
We always thought, well, we got dark skin. We don't have to worry about, turning orange. So, but we didn't think about the cancer effects.
You said turning orange. I've never ever said that before because I usually talk about turning white.
Yeah.
You're saying turning orange, like getting sunburned.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We never thought about that. We
Mhm.
swam. We didn't, what? Sunscreen. And then back in 2011, I decided to train to walk a half marathon. And our instructors said, you got to wear hats, you got to wear sunscreens. And that's when I started wearing it because the instructor. I mean, but that was years went by. Now, of course, Black Girl Sunscreen, of course, and has really elevated this whole discussion. And so it's kind of like, well, of course I'm wearing sunscreen. First of all, I don't want any wrinkles or cracks. I don't want the
You
face
look phenomenal.
Thank you.
You
Face
look
to,
good.
but more importantly, I don't want skin cancer. I don't want any complications that come with overexposure.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, every morning moisturize, put the sunscreen on, and I'm out.
So what I heard, which is actually pretty normal, a non-existent relationship with sunscreen pre-Black Girl Sunscreen, and
Yep.
now you are into sunscreen, but understand the benefits of sunscreen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Miss Lacey, I have a random question for you.
Sure.
Can you double dutch?
I wish I could.
We had a bet going. I thought you could double dutch, Jackie.
Well, at one time, maybe, but now no. I love watching double dutch, but I don't think so.
I'm not a jumper either.
Yeah,
I can
I'm not
turn.
I can turn.
I can turn, but I can't jump.
Yeah. No, I think you got to be able to jump, and I'm in that camp. I cannot.
Yeah.
I probably could, but I don't want to fall.
You wouldn't
I don't
fall.
fall.
Jackie, we're going to have a little bit of fun here, okay? Your episode is the first. You are the first. Black Girl Sunscreen is the first. So we have some first questions for you.
Okay.
Okay. So Jackie, what was your first car?
I had a 1968 blue Mustang.
She
Ford
said
Mustang.
68 Mustang.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I love that car.
Was it a drop top?
No, it was a hand-me-down from
That's okay.
from my dad.
Okay.
Love that car.
Was it stick?
No,
It was automatic.
It was automatic.
Okay.
That sounds amazing, though.
Did you name her or him?
I did not name her. I don't know why I call her. I did name her, but when I was in law school, she got stolen and stripped.
You what?
I was traumatized. I was at the library. I went out to look for my car. It was almost
And she was
midnight.
gone.
And she was gone. Someone had ripped her off because it was a hot car.
Yeah.
It was a hot car. And she was never the same. We tried to put her back together. She was never the same. So I ended up, with a Jetta Volkswagen, which
Okay.
was a stick
Yeah.
after that.
Nice. Okay, so Jackie, what was your first job?
I worked at, let's see, my first job was at Sears. It used to be a Sears, outlet store on Vermont. It's my first job.
What department? Like
It was
appliances?
well, no. They said Department 99, which is miscellaneous stuff. It's all the go-backs, the stuff. The stuff
Not the
that's been on
go-backs.
clearance that's marked out again, that kind of thing. But
Okay.
yeah, I worked retail jobs.
Okay. So were you the first to wake up in your house or the last?
I wasn't the first. My dad was always the first. He's from Texas, and he would get up before daylight. I probably was the third. My mom probably was the second. I was the third. Then my sister Carol was the fourth.
Okay.
What's the first thing you do in the morning now?
Well, I just got a puppy.
Oh.
So the first thing I do is take the dog out.
What kind of dog?
Oh, it's a multi-poo.
Oh.
Little 5-pound Matilda. She is the cutest thing.
That's her name, Matilda?
Matilda's her name. I call her Maddie for short, but that's the first thing.
Okay.
One of the first things I do, and I haven't been able to break myself from this habit, is I look at my news feed to see what's going on in the world. See
Okay.
if there's any breaking news.
Okay.
You've been trained, like your mind, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because, as the job, I had to make sure we weren't in the newspaper for anything negative, and I had to
Right.
respond, right? So I was always looking, and, I would breathe a sigh of relief if there was a bad case and it was in another jurisdiction. It's like, oh, thank goodness that's Orange County. It's not us. It's not us.
Were you the first to arrive to work or the last person to leave?
I used to arrive to work early until someone had a talk with me, another leader, and
Mhm.
said, he said this. He said I was putting too much pressure on my people, and so I should arrive a little bit later. He said because they want to beat you in, and if you're
And
the
you're-
first person in, they feel like you're watching what time they come in. So
Mhm.
that's how I started walking. I was like, okay, well, I'll just walk in the morning when I get up early and then go to work.
Good thing I'm never the first person to work.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always the last.
You know what?
Never.
I'm the first.
You're the first.
I'm the first.
Yeah, yeah. Thank goodness. We need it first. We need
We need it
somebody
first. Somebody got to get it started.
to get it started.
Okay, so Jackie, are you the first to give your opinion or the last in waiting to hear what others say?
That's a good one.
I have learned that before I give my opinion, I need to ask a lot of questions.
Ooh.
And a lot of times people are they really don't want your opinion. They just want you to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to discern that. But then if they want my opinion, I give it to them. So I'm not the first. I'm normally, because I want people to feel free to express themselves, to say whatever's on their mind. And oftentimes if you are the first to jump out, you may impact what somebody wants to say to you. So no, I kind of have disciplined myself to hold back a bit.
Okay. I appreciate you playing the first. You being the first Black district attorney of Los Angeles means so many things to so many people. What is one thing you would like people to know about who Jackie Lacey is now?
You know, I feel privileged. I loved being district attorney of that office. I feel like we did you mentioned some of the things. I feel like there were changes that happened that were for the good, you know. Now what I enjoy is my freedom. Back then I loved the job, but I felt like I was in a box. There was so much I couldn't say. I couldn't really express my opinion about a lot of things. I had to sort of hold it in. I had to watch and make sure there were no gaffes. It's almost like you feel like you have to be perfect. Now, in my imperfection, I just am able to exhale.
And just be.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I am loving this part of my life, notwithstanding all of the things that I'm going through. I love the fact that I can wear my hair natural. Don't have to dye it anymore and straighten it and hot comb it and all the crazy stuff I was doing. That if I want to walk out the house with no makeup and my sweats on, that's okay. That I can go places and not be recognized. Because, I like to go to Home Goods. I like to go to the movies. But I feel like I have so much freedom to be myself. And that feels good.
Jackie, you are so inspiring. You really are. Despite what you might think, and I told you this 3 years ago when I met you. Regardless, right? Because as the first, there's so much to learn, regardless of where it ends up. Because you're giving the blueprint to somebody else of what to do and what not to do. I appreciate you so much for being our first guest on Shamelessly Shontay. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah.
And I wish you nothing but the best. I love what you're doing. I love how you're leading. I love the fact that we are surrounded by so many young African-American women today. And I just want to tell them I was, really a shy, reserved person who people didn't think very much of, I think, when I was growing up. But if you have a dream, just take that first step. You'd be surprised who will come out of the woodworks to help you.
Gems.
Love it.
Okay, we snapping.
So nice to meet you, Miss Jackie.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So
Woo!
good. Woo! So good.